Welcome back to the Comfy Chairs. After an unplanned hiatus, we got COVID, I'm back with the second installment of my conversation with Michelle about Susan Cain's wonderful book, Bittersweet. We ended the last episode talking about how music and concerts can evoke euphoria and sadness in us, or bittersweetness, and they can even provide a display of great leadership. So we'll pick up there and start the conversation turning to one of my favorite subjects, creativity. Susan Cain, opens this book talking about music.
Mm-hmm.
The cellist of Sarajevo,
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Cohen.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But
yes.
Goes on to continue to talk about creativity and how
Mm-hmm.
we can turn loss and sorrow into art, and defining art in a broad term.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be painting or drawing something or even music, but that creative offering, this idea that the thing that hurts you points you in the direction of where you should
Right.
look for purpose.
Isn't that what's the question that she asks about that is, how does this, she asks a question like, what do you do? How do you, I don't know. I don't remember what the question is.
Let me go see if I can find it.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about though, right? That she, what do you make with that? Or what do you...
Yeah. I know I marked that. I know I made some notes about that one.
Yeah, I can't remember now.
Yeah. She's talking about Leonard Cohen and a relationship he had.
Marianne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever pain you can't get rid of, he seemed to say, make it your creative offering.
Yes. What is your creative offering? That's what it is. Yeah. What is your creative offering?
Yeah. And there's, again, let me see if I can find this particular note. This is in the conversation about Sufism. Longing is the core of the mystery. Longing itself brings the cure.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the note I made for myself is the sense of longing points us to that for which we long.
Yes.
I actually really love the idea that pang, our sorrow, our desire, it can be the map, the compass that brings us to our purpose.
Yes. Yes.
I think about, because one of the things I want to make certain that we talk about, for people, I would say like us, going back to what we talked about earlier, in our warm-up times, who are intent on living and working with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What does all of this, what does Bittersweet have to teach us?
Right. I mean, I think there's so many lessons in the book, and I probably can't recommend it enough, but I definitely think that the bittersweet, as she calls it, the longing and the melancholy, the bittersweet is it is probably that which we should reward in ourselves and others more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't reward it in leadership.
No.
It's not typically rewarded in leadership. We don't reward it in ourselves. We try to beat it down, like we talked about, like get rid of fear, get rid of anger. Can we shut out disgust and sadness? Just go away. I think that's, I mean, thematically, I think that's probably one of the big lessons is embracing the bittersweet as opposed to repelling it, which is the inclination of this society.
Yeah. Well, it's, she defines longing for us, and the mental image it gave me was a vine growing, because it's that idea of, growth towards something, reaching, making long to get to a goal or a thing, and that our sorrow and our longing teach us how to grow.
Yeah.
in a way that success can't,
Right.
fear can't. And that, if we're going to believe John F. Kennedy, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other.
Right.
So if longing is the thing that drives growth, leaders need to embrace, acknowledge, and even pursue longing and sorrow.
Right. Yeah, and I think the way that you have to move through that is through that creative offering, because there is, with the longing comes, I believe, when you acknowledge the longing, you then desire to know, what do I do? What action do I take?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about COVID, right? The pandemic. And besides the taskiness that we did working in healthcare of, we got to do this command center or, do all these things to figure out what we do well and how we move through this. There was also this personal, so the work side was one thing, but then there was this personal side of me of like, what do I do? And I remember it acutely after 9/11, like, what do I do now that this thing has happened? What is the action that I take? And for me, and I was going to ask you, what is your creative offering? Like, can you think of do you know what it is? Because I think this book talks frequently about music and art and poetry, and none of those things are necessarily, I'm not an artist like you are. But I think for me, my creative offering is food and feeding the people, right? I mean, it is this like,
Michelle showed up for this. Michelle came to the comfy chairs with a fresh baked loaf of bread.
Right.
She is. That is her creative offering, for which I am grateful.
I don't know that it's good bread, but it's bread.
I will eat it all.
Thank you. But yeah, so what would you say, like, when you sense your longing, and I know that you are an artist, I've been the recipient of some of your art, for which I am impeccably grateful. What would you say is, like, when you have that longing, what is your creative offering?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've been trying to define that for myself in, having read this, thinking about our time together. I think if I think in the space of like a visual art, it's my home. It's the space that I welcome people into.
It's the comfy chairs.
It is the comfy chairs.
It is the comfy chairs. Yeah.
It's the, it's the tavern.
Yes.
Our home bar.
Yes.
Like hospitality is probably a way to talk about it. Are people comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Can I give you a space that feels light and safe and friendly?
Yes.
I think professionally, though, which is where I've been trying to focus my thoughts on this, it's actually not that dissimilar. It's, can I offer people with whom I work a sense of belonging? Mm-hmm. Can I make you feel safe?
Yes.
So that all the vulnerable, icky bits of being human are okay.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because what I said my creative offering was as food, and that's true, except that it's not really the food as much as it is the connection. Because what my creative offering is community. Yeah. It's community.
Oh, and, yes, right? It is.
And so I think one of the things that I did early on in the pandemic was, how can I help? It's what can I do? Like, I have this longing for this to be better. So what do I do? And so I signed up for this organization called Lasagna Love, which is a great organization where you make lasagna for people who are in need of a meal. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And I'm not trying to pub it. There's no, like, I don't. And I signed up, and so I made lasagna. But you get matched with somebody or a family, and you get information about them, how many adults, how many kids, and then you bring them lasagna. And the one thing about it is you don't ever connect. You don't ever have any contact with them.
Oh, you did. That didn't do it for you, did it?
No. So I did it once, and then I was like, I only can give people lasagna if they come to my house and eat it. I can't and it's a great organization, because for some people, their creative offering is food.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to drop food off at people's house and leave. And that's it's awesome, right? Because if you need a lasagna, someone's bringing you a lasagna. That's not what I have to offer. I will offer lasagna, but with it comes community.
Yeah. Well, after George Floyd was killed, you invited people to your home.
Yes.
And it was during the height of the pandemic. So you sat outside in a circle.
Yep.
I remember you talking about this in passing. You talked about it like it wasn't even a big deal. Being like, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
That you brought people of different races together as the thing you could do. You created a community to talk about the pain of that awful thing in our nation.
Yeah, and several of those women I'm still friends with. Like,
good.
They're, and they were people I didn't know. They were like, oh, this person would love to talk to you about this, or this person would love to talk to you about this. So yeah, that's good. And I think when you talk about that, like the hospitality and the sense of belonging and the language is different, but it's a similar sentiment as a leader, like is come to my house, to the tavern, sit in the comfy chairs and talk to me, hang out with the cats, you know? So.
Yeah. Well, and it's, what I think is interesting, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about the differences between introverts and extroverts and thinkers and perceivers and, judging and all the bits as Myers-Briggs nerds. And, the way it plays out, you with your ENFP, it is about, presenting your values and creating community. And I value those things, but as an INTJ, it's and somebody that likes to make stuff as an artist, what can I do with my hands?
Right.
To give to people. It is, I would be okay with leaving lasagna.
Yes, I know.
On the front porch.
And I've gotten, you've done needlepoint for me. You've done crochet. Like I still have, a cowl scarf that I wear regularly in the winter that you made for me, and a needlepoint W, or it's crewel work actually, that you made. I mean, I have those things that you produce for me that I think you're an amazing artist, and I love those gifts. And every time I see those, I remember our connection. So yeah, I mean, I get that. And those are not things that I have the skill or the craft to do, or quite honestly, the desire. But
that's more important than the other. The desire.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I have many boxes of craft endeavors that I've undertaken. John's like, "Are we crocheting again? Are we doing stamping this month? Why are we buying candle making stuff? We have candles. Why do we need more?"
Because I need to make something.
Yeah, I need to make something. He's like, "Just bake a cake."
Oh, okay.
That's a good point. Good.
Creative offering. That could be what you tell them in the
future.
Yeah,
it's a creative offering for somebody. I think that the idea of a creative offering is one of my favorite things about the book, that your longing results in a creative offering. And I hadn't thought about, I host Super Sunday in the fall, like when it's decorative gourd season, we host this Super Sunday on our probably a monthly basis of like, come over, have soup, and it's not about the soup as much as it is about the community. So yeah. So I think I would say that now my creative offering is community. So
I think you are exactly right. You do make that offering for us. We're all lucky for it.
Thank you.
But it's, the going back to what you were talking about, we have to embrace the thing that hurts us in order to get to that point where we can make that offering.
Right.
And without the embrace, there's no community.
Right.
So, I'm going to say some things that are assuming what it is that has brought you to offering community, but, does it tell us that you have experienced loneliness, that you have experienced isolation?
Yep.
And that by acknowledging that those have happened to you and that it hurt you deeply, it made you capable. I think it's not just that it made you capable of, you have empowered yourself to do what will create community around you.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, right, that's probably because that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we want to invite people into the thing that we want.
Yeah.
Probably. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we don't find that out without facing the sticky bits.
Right. Yeah. The thing or the things that we need, the longing, right? It's the longing. I long for deep connection. That's a longing that I have.
Yeah. Well, I want people to experience a sense of I can be my authentic self around Kate because I've been judged for being Kate.
Oh, yeah.
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 That
makes sense.
Hey, I felt this awful thing and I don't want you to have it as well.
Right. Yeah. And you do that well. You do make people feel safe.
I'm just going to come back to what does all of this mean for people that lead?
I think what it means is that people that are leading, it does come back to authenticity. And I was watching a clip with Simon Sinek in it this morning, and he was saying that leadership is not position, it's action or something like that. But just the concept that, and he referenced a study where people, or maybe Susan Cain referenced the study where, it was her. She was talking about angry leaders, versus sad leaders. And they did a study where the students witnessed an executive who was responding to bad financial outcomes first with anger. So, a quote, angry, folded arms, furrowed brow, and then in converse, a leader who was responding to the same or similar kind of financial outcome in the company with arms hanging down, head down, more sad. And, people reported that the angry leader was more likely to have the ability to fire people or leverage like negative consequences, whereas the sad leader was more likely to, have people want to follow them, essentially.
Yeah. Like you might get immediate like pain stimulus responses from people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her conclusion, I think, is not that, one is better than other, that you have to walk around being sad as a leader to be effective.
Yes.
I think her conclusion is that there are times when anger is appropriate and will cause people to come to action, right? Because that's the thing. Anger will keep you from being taken advantage of. That's the purpose of the emotion of anger, is to keep people from taking advantage of you, or to keep you from being vulnerable or being a victim. And, sadness obviously, drives us towards that longing. And I think her conclusion is definitely that there's a balance there. I think that the society rewards angry leaders, walking around yelling at people.
Yeah, we've witnessed
We've witnessed that quite a bit. Yes, we have witnessed that. And
it doesn't breed safety. It doesn't breed confidence over time.
Well, and I think that was the Simon Sinek piece, is that, you can be a positional leader that people will do stuff for because you have a position of authority. But that doesn't mean people want to follow you.
Yeah.
So I think that leaders, I remember you and I were at a session one time, and the speaker was asking, what's the number one thing that a leader needs? What's the number one thing that a leader needs? And I remember all of us are shouting out, trust and, all the words, right? They need trust. They need a compelling vision. They need, whatever. And good one, but not accurate. Good one, but not accurate. Good one, but not accurate. The number one thing that a leader needs is followers. If you don't have people following you, you're not a leader. Right. And I remember thinking like, oh God, yeah, that makes absolute sense. And so if people are not willing to follow you, you're not a leader.
Yeah. I found the stuff where Cain is talking about pain at work.
Yes.
And she quotes a management professor that works with an organization called the Compassion Lab.
Oh, yeah.
Says there's an unspectacular, mundane suffering that pervades the workplace. But We don't feel allowed to acknowledge that we suffer. We endure way more than we should and can because we downplay what it's actually doing to us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I would kind of tongue in cheek describe that as work is killing us softly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we never talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how many workplaces have fully debriefed what happened with the pandemic. I mean, it was chaotic. And, you know, working in healthcare, we thought initially, okay, we're going to stand up this command center a couple of weeks. It'll be over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 3 years later, and I'm still getting ads for and questioning, when do I get my next vaccine? I'm still wearing a mask on a plane when I travel. I'm,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all of those things. So, and at no place did I had an opportunity to say, man, that I don't even remember what happened in 2020 and 2021. Like what was I doing?
Right.
What happened? Where are the, yeah.
Well, it's the shared stress. And then, you know, I think about all the individual stories.
Mm-hmm. This is the first time, honestly, that I've ever even kind of gone back and thought about some of that. And why haven't we talked about this? That's one of the,
because you keep moving forward.
and one of the things that I would say I have a longing for is, and I'm not longing for the past, but I'm longing for a moment to talk about and process through and get closure or movement on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to do that.
Well,
You know?
so I think, unfortunately, because that is not a cultural habit. We have no muscle around that, at least living in North America in the 21st century, having the privilege of being upper middle class white people. We have no discipline there. And if we were to start now, think about how far back we would actually have to go.
I know.
So, you know, the rise in incivility, that spike that has not gone away,
right?
That we saw hitting headlines in 2021. The absolute dumpster fire of race relations,
right,
in the States that reached a head that has not come clean yet,
right,
in 2020. Those all have beginnings really far back. And if the intent is to do like a personal root cause analysis, if you will,
mm-hmm.
the things that hurt us today as a society and as individuals go so far back, we would lose time. And we don't tolerate the loss of time very well, which we could probably connect to the whole like sense of impermanence and fear of dying. However, in the States, it's that time is money. So we're being driven by, we must produce. But I think you're talking about something that could heal us all if we could just say, I hurt right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a really good point. And I think there's value in root cause analysis. I think there's value in anthropology and the study of how the past affects the present and could affect the future. I think there's more value in saying, whenever it happened, whatever happened, I hurt right now.
Yeah.
And I long for something because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And asking ourselves reasonably, what would it take for me to heal today?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's the longing that brings the healing, or the acknowledgement of the longing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think I would agree. I think acknowledging the fact that I have pain is then the moment where you can treat the pain.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I was thinking of that because, until you can say, yeah, it hurts bad enough that I need something.
Well, you know, lady that just had the emergency appendectomy.
Exactly. Yes.
If you had not acknowledged that pain, what would have happened?
Right. Well,
unpleasantness.
I don't know what have happened. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are some people that are like, I'll just power through and they end up with a ruptured appendix. I was not one of those people. I was like, "Ooh, that hurts really bad and it's all on the right side. That's got to mean something." So yeah.
Yeah.
And it did. I mean, who gets appendicitis at 53? But apparently I do. I save all the childhood illness or the young adult illnesses. I got mono at 40. So, you know.
Well, I got hand, foot, and mouth
Oh, God.
2 years ago.
Okay. All right. So you get toddler illnesses in adulthood.
Right.
All right. I haven't had any toddler illnesses for a while, but
I think I was just more proof that I'm basically a 5-year-old.
exactly. That's exactly. Yes, that is.
Bring
Wow.
me my fruit snacks.
Is it, seriously,
Let me have a nap.
get me some applesauce. That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Just like
I didn't know that, but geez.
Yeah.
All right. So what else?
What did you find most challenging about not just the book, but the whole living a bittersweet life?
I hate to say this, but I think the thing that always challenges me when I read books like this is the self-indulgent. That is what I find challenging about books like this, you know, this genre of like self-examination and even like societal examination about where we are is this indulgent? Should I just get back to work? Right.
Am I navel gazing or
Exactly.
or am I like enriching my life?
Right. And I don't even know why. I don't even know why that's a part of it, but it's definitely, you know, as I'm like reading her words and thinking, you know, fine, Susan, but really, like, do we really need to spend time on this? And I believe it in the front of my mind. I believe it.
Yeah.
But there's that background voice. And I do think, as we talked about in our warm up, like this Gen X philosophy of like, I mean, just get it together, just get to work, get some stuff done.
There is a little bit of that. Like so again, self-reflection is a necessary, healthy part of life.
Mm-hmm.
But if it overshadows and you spend all of your time self-reflecting to the exclusion of everything else, that's not good.
Right.
I mean, it is fundamentally a bad way to live your life.
Right. And I think I hit that point about 3/4 of the way through the book where, and that's probably the right timing, right? Of like, it's a standard kind of business or psychology kind of book of how many ever pages, and about, 75% of the way through, you're like, have I had enough? Like, should I just move on? And, or should I take action now? Is this the time when there should be some action or moving forward? That's probably what challenges me is, and if I'm being honest, it's probably that I would grow more if I had the patience to sit in it a little longer. I'm not somebody that I think is ever going to get accused of like, she's just constantly self-reflecting. I think it's more of like I don't quite finish. I don't quite get it done.
Well, and we're talking about like embracing sadness.
Right.
Here, like coming to peace with the sorrow in our lives. That's not fun.
Right.
So that friction, that discomfort that you could feel, some of it may come from I don't want to be self-indulgent. I don't want to spend all my time like picking at my wounds.
Mm-hmm.
But it could also come from, oh, you're pressing on a bruise and that hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I'm not advocating pressing on bruises by any sense.
Please don't.
But it's so, we started our time together talking about the death of a pet.
Yes.
Right? And the way I talked about losing my 16-year-old cat unexpectedly was, a few days after, it was like, it's kind of like a bruise. It's a sore spot that I'm sort of aware of, but if I don't touch it, it's okay.
Right.
And, in the big scheme of things, losing a pet is a small deal. In my day-to-day, it's a really significant loss.
Right. Right.
And the issue isn't that I'm grieving a pet. The issue could be that I don't process my grief and it just shows up other places.
Yes.
And do I lean into the hurt and let myself have a healthy grieving process? Or do I feel a little uncomfortable and stop?
Right. And then if you do feel uncomfortable and stop, because this is true of all of our wounds from, birth to current situation,
Mm-hmm.
if we don't address those wounds or at least acknowledge them, let them have their life and move on from them,
Mm-hmm.
they will show up in our life in other ways that are probably not that positive.
No.
And I think that's the leadership lesson is, did you watch Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, we need to
We do.
We need to sit down in the chairs again
We do.
and have like a whole series on Ted Lasso.
100%. Oh, I watch a lot of true crime, a lot of dark stuff. And I just think, where has Ted Lasso been all my life? Like, I'm just so happy about it. But the third season, when Rebecca, who is Ted Lasso's boss, the blonde woman, she goes in, they're gonna try to get her to sign as the woman on this additional international football league or whatever. And she looks around the table at all of these men and she is like, what is wrong with you? And immediately it flashes to all of them being little boys.
Yeah.
And it was so profound for me because I thought, I do that now. I do that thing where when I look at someone, especially a leader that I'm having a difficult time with, I turn my head a little bit and think, there's a little boy in there, or there's a little girl in there that got hurt really badly and they haven't dealt with it. And that's why this behavior is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be more compassionate that way and less judgy. I mean, I try really hard not to judge, but I'm judgy as much as anybody else.
You're human. You're human.
Exactly. But when I force myself to say, at 8 years old, what happened to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to you that is causing this?
Well, and it doesn't have to be something like abuse or a big trauma. It could be, you got kicked on the playground and you were told to just dust it off.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you learned a lesson that you don't deal with day-to-day injuries.
Exactly.
And so you're not patient with people that are hurting. And
exactly.
That's an extreme case, but you're right. We learn things when we're little.
Yeah.
Cain talks about that.
Yes.
She talks about acceptance and compassion. I think is that right? Acceptance and compassion therapy.
Yes. Yes.
And according to the tenets of that practice, there's some stuff you may never get rid of. It may be the thing, regardless of years and years of work, that you bear with you.
Right.
But at least you have awareness of it.
Right. Exactly.
So that when you are your cranky 8-year-old self in the boardroom, you can stop for a moment.
Right. Well, and I bring that to myself sometimes, and I think, what is making me anxious in this situation with this leader? What's making me feel like I want to lash out or tell this person off or retreat into myself? What is causing that? What about 8-year-old Michelle is not feeling good about this? I think that's an important exercise to do. And Ted Lasso, I remember watching that scene and thinking, yep, that's exactly the way she should respond.
And you're talking about, I think, is a foundational, core. It's one of the places where leadership starts. Yes, you have to have followers, but if you can't look at yourself first,
yep,
everything that we're talking about here, the embracing sorrow, the acknowledging that you have hurt, the looking for those sweet moments as well. If you can't do that as a leader, you have no hope of guiding other people through it.
Right.
Because I think that's the lesson in Bittersweet for leaders is what is the thing that hurts me? Have I embraced that I'm a little sad sometimes? And you may not be as sad as the next leader. That's okay. You don't have to manufacture poignancy and melancholy in yourself. But do you acknowledge it? And then do you look for the signs in your people?
Right. And if you're a leader that led through a global pandemic, how can you not be sad? It was a sad time.
It was.
Right? I mean, we lost colleagues. We lost friends. We may have lost our business.
Yeah.
Or it may have been altered drastically. I mean, of course, there's sadness there. So not acknowledging that as a leader is going to be problematic for people.
Very problematic. We're not the same as we were 3 years ago.
No.
I was talking with somebody that works in higher ed the other day, and the freshmen that are showing up this year, they're 18-year-olds who have 16-year-old minds.
Yep.
Because they lost 2 years.
Right.
And being able to guide youth through that, I can't even imagine the challenge.
I can't either. And
for folks in academia right now.
And I have two of my family members, my husband and my oldest son, are both teachers, high school and junior high respectively. And they're dealing with a whole new level. My husband has taught juniors and seniors for 3 decades, right? Ages. But they're not the same. They're not the same. And they have been the same. A junior and a senior have been the same, and they're not anymore. And same with like junior high. It's just a whole different level of and the civil incivility, or the incivility.
It's civil, but it's not.
Yes, the civil the incivility that we're talking about largely has come, at least in the school realm, is this anti social emotional learning, and don't teach our kids. Parents have to teach kids. Just teach academics. Well, kids need social and emotional learning in the school environment. They just do. And and so there's this need to have it, and then the adults in the equation are like fighting each other on it, and that's adding a whole other level to the children in the situation, because if your parent is for social emotional learning in the classroom, you're on one side, and then if your parent is against it, because you're kind of, by extension, you're adopting your parents' thoughts, or you're fighting against them, right? So the children are now involved in this weird political thing that they shouldn't even be involved in.
No, sins of the father. Sins
of the father, exactly. So crazy. I am self-professed not a sports competitive person, and I, when I would watch my daughter play soccer and the other goalie would make a good stop, I would be like, "Good job, goalkeep," and my daughter would say, "What? That's the other team. Like, we don't root for the other team." And I think we need to root more for the other team. I just think we do. Like, you did a good job, right? Yeah. You did a good job, and I do think that behind the scenes, probably the players themselves in most sport events, they do acknowledge that I did my job, they did their job. I got paid for doing my job, they got paid for doing. Maybe they won, so they got paid more. Like, they had a better outcome, so they got the bonus that I didn't get.
Yeah.
If you think about a leadership perspective, but at the end of the day, everybody did a good job, right? So
yeah, it would be. It would, think about how much different the world would be even if we still, quote unquote, battled, whether on the field, in the boardroom, in the community, if at the end of the day we could say, good game.
Right, exactly. And I think that by and large, I think the players genuinely do. Like the front level, like the front line, the people on the field and the people on the bench, I think they do that. I think what we see, the owners and the coaches have to take it to that next level. And I think that's where executive leadership, we live in this community where there's competitive nature among the healthcare systems, right?
Yeah.
I think the executives feel that. They talk about it and what they're in the market share and who's getting this.
But on the front line.
But at the front line, you're a nurse, I'm a nurse, you're a tech, I'm a tech.
You've probably flipped back and forth between the various systems.
You probably have. And if you and I...
You went to school with people that work at the other hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't care.
You don't care. And if you and I, if I'm a nurse and you're a nurse and I'm at red system and you're at blue system, and we both end up on a plane together or wherever, we end up anywhere where there's a medical crisis, we're on the same team then. We're trying to help this person, right?
Yep.
And I think that that's where leaders should spend more time with the front line and say, how do you feel about the competition?
Yeah.
Right.
Or, why do we even focus on the competition?
I know, exactly.
I think that's such a flawed mindset to begin with.
I agree.
Because how do you feel about your environment?
Exactly.
what's missing from what you have here? How can we make this the best place for you to work?
Right.
Yeah, we'll take a look at how the quote unquote competition is doing, but
Right.
we're not going to spend our time on the competition.
Right.
We're going to spend the time on our own performance.
Yes. Better.
Yeah. And I think, this may be stretching a little bit just to keep things, on point, but leaders who lead by looking out
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to in, what is it that they're longing for?
Yes.
What are they not letting themselves feel grief or poignancy regarding?
Right. No, I think that's a good question. And I think in terms of, do we inherit the grief, the longing? I think that happens in companies.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens because, you talk about inheriting a team, like this isn't the team I built, this is the team I inherited. Oh, yeah. And so I do think there is inheriting when new leaders come in, and you may be the bright, shiny penny that comes in from the outside of an organization and everybody thinks you're going to, take over the world. And I think that's one of the things about Ted Lasso I love, and also, is a little bit challenging because he was the underdog that, like, you didn't work in this industry, so to speak. Like we hear, well, they don't have any XYZ experience. How can they be any good at this? Well, he didn't have soccer experience or, European football experience or whatever. He didn't have that experience, but he was this amazing leader despite his anxiety disorder and all of that. And, some of that, because he went from worst to first, was a little contrived, over 3 seasons. And when Trent Krim hands him the manuscript at the end and he says, "Hey, great, loved it, change the title. It's not about me and never was." That's leadership, right?
Yeah. We'll pause here and conclude this series in the next episode. Until then, I want to invite you to think about what you believe great leadership looks like. Do you agree with Michelle? Is it ultimately not about the leader? Or does it take an entirely different form in your experience? I would love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you next time in the comfy chairs.